Because yeah, leaders determine culture. If we think about, what's possible at the different levels of development, socialized mind cannot really create anything other than an amber organization. Okay, so there sits your command and control. Okay, self-authoring mind can create orange. It can also create green. Okay, and green is kind of where we start moving into. If you've got a leader who's got a self-transforming mind, that is the place where it's finally a teal culture starts becoming possible. Okay, so our leaders generally determine what is possible from a culture point of view through their through their way of being. So if we just look at, I want to take you into a specific leadership framework so that we can just tie the whole lot together. If we look at how we make sense or meaning, and our sense-making process is actually really what's responsible for our responses or our actions. So as a leader, the way I make sense, and especially the action logic that I am bathed in when I make sense. So action logic, where does the logic for my action comes from? And I'll talk in a second about action logics, okay? That really determines, what am I seeing? What am I making up about what I'm seeing? And how do I want to respond to it? Okay. So I'm diving into the socialized mind, self-authoring and self-transforming mind in a slightly from a slightly different angle now, to talk about where that action logic comes from and how it is tied to adult development. Okay, so what I'm sharing with you is the leadership development framework. Okay, and I'm not sharing all the levels with you, really just the ones that are interesting for us in organizations. So if we look at the opportunist, it's me versus the world, and the world's black and white. Okay, that sounds pretty much like our self-sovereign mind. In the diplomat, it's us against the world. And I've got that external locus of control, pretty much like the socialized mind. And in fact, that continues into expert. So our expert develops from when we're about six years old till we're in our early 20s. And here, this is where we start looking at the world through the eyes of science and deep craft and deep skill. Okay, so this is where we start thinking about the world as complicated. So we can go deep in our expert view, but we can't go wide. And we associate with others that are as skillful and as expert in what we do than we are. Okay. If we look at achiever, which is the next layer down, here we start to have an appreciation for the world as complex. What we do here is we finally let others in to help us. We start relying on others, and we really truly value their contributions as well, but it's still to achieve our own goals. An individualist, which is kind of a bridge between achiever and strategist. In individualist, we really truly understand that reality is an interpretation, and what I see depends on me. There is no such thing as a true reality. And the individualist really truly values difference and diversity. So where we sit with, actually, let me go a little bit further before I get back to that. In strategist level, so the strategist doesn't only include everything up to that point, okay, but they are also able to listen to the beat of their own inner drum and go for it, okay, and they truly have faith in others that if they do that, they won't be hurt or lost, or they'll find their own way. So if we map this to the adult development frameworks, we find that we get into socialized mind during the course of opportunist. That's kind of mid-opportunist. And we start getting into self-authoring mind from kind of halfway through our expert. And that actually runs till our early individualists. And it's only when we get to late individualist or strategist when we get into the mindset of self-transforming. Now, let me give you some stats about those. Okay, so the group that I work with, where we use action logic, okay, the stats come from them. They're Harthill Consulting in the UK. Okay, if we look at expert is a vast majority. We didn't look at the other ones before that, but achiever, between expert and achiever, about 70 to 80% of managers tested fall into the expert and achiever. Okay, and then a further 25% fall into individualist, and all of 5% fall into the strategist and higher, strategist and deeper. The interesting thing is command and control is something that we cannot do. If I take you back to the previous slide, command and control is what we do when we are sitting in socialized. Here we can do predict and plan. It's only when we get into self-transforming that we can do sense and respond leadership. Okay. So let me get back to that one. So here's the ugly truth then. So when we are expert, if that's our highest level of action logic, in terms of the agile mindset, we will struggle with everything except the proactivity belief. Okay. When we get into achiever, we will struggle with the complexity belief and the people belief. Okay, so we'll get used to halfway through our achiever, we'll start getting used to the complexity belief, and we'll start, kind of tasting the people belief as well. But it's really only in late individualists where all three beliefs of the agile mindset become accessible. Okay, so if we go back to the previous slide, okay, hang on, where's my, sorry, not the previous, it's on the same slide. So if we look at our agile efforts then, okay, this is why we struggle. We sit with all these leaders. I mean, achiever is really highly rewarded, especially in orange culture, okay? We sit with all of these leaders, and it's not that they are not willing to go, and grow their own inner rigidity. It's that they can't. The complexity of mind that's required to grow fully into the agile mindset is simply not present. Okay.